The elevator to the penthouse suite hummed with a kind of silence that only money can buy. A smooth, engineered absence of sound that cost more than most people's cars. Marcus Chen watched the numbers climb, 42, 43, 44. Each floor a marker of how far he'd come from the cramped studio apartment where he'd coded his first app, surviving on ramen and the irrational confidence of a 22-year-old who believed he could change the world. At 31, he'd done exactly that. Chen Analytics had revolutionized data visualization for Fortune 500 companies, and the boy who'd once counted quarters for laundry money now counted his net worth and numbers that felt abstract, almost fictional. The elevator doors whispered open. "Marcus, finally!" Amanda's voice rang through the marble foyer before he'd even stepped out, her heels clicking a sharp rhythm against the Italian tile. She emerged from the living room in a cloud of expensive perfume, something French with a name he couldn't pronounce, but whose price tag he definitely remembered, wearing a dress he'd never seen before, which meant she'd gone shopping, again. "How do you like it?" She spun, the silk catching light from the floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked the Seattle skyline. The dress was beautiful. Amanda was beautiful. Objectively, mathematically beautiful, with the kind of symmetrical features and carefully maintained appearance that turned heads in every restaurant, every gala, every room she entered. "It's nice," Marcus said, loosening his tie as he headed toward the kitchen. His feet ached. The meeting with the Vancouver investors had run 4 hours over schedule. "Nice." Amanda's laugh tinkled like wind chimes. "Babe, it's Valentino. There's only 3 of these in North America." She followed him, her phone already in her hand, thumbs flying across the screen. "I'm posting it. Oh, and I booked us at Calmless for Friday, 8 o'clock. Wear the Tom Ford suit, the navy one, not the gray." Marcus poured himself a whiskey, watching the amber liquid catch the late afternoon sun. Through the window, he could see the harbor, the ferries crossing the sound like slow-moving toys. Somewhere down there in the coffee shops and cramped apartments and parking garages, people were living lives that required budgets and coupons and checking account balances before making purchases. He'd lived that life. Sometimes he missed it. "How was your day?" he asked, more out of habit than genuine curiosity. He already knew the answer would involve brunch, a spa appointment, shopping, maybe drinks with her friends, the rotating cast of women who seemed to have the same schedule, the same designer bags, the same carefully constructed Instagram lives. "Amazing! I found the perfect place for my birthday trip. Bali, but not basic Bali, babe. Private villa, infinity pool, our own chef. I sent you the link. It's only $30,000 for the week, which is practically a steal." She kissed his cheek, leaving a lipstick mark he'd have to remember to wipe off. "Oh, and Saks is having a private sale tomorrow, VIP clients only. Can you increase my card limit? It's maxed out." The words washed over him like background noise. Marcus's phone buzzed. A text from Sarah Kim, his COO. "Board meeting prep ready. I'll be in the office until 7 if you want to review before tomorrow." He typed back, "On my way. Thanks for staying late." "I need to go back to the office," Marcus said, setting down his glass. Amanda's perfectly shaped eyebrows drew together. "Now? But I thought we could watch the sunset. I bought this dress for you." "You bought the dress for your Instagram," Marcus said, immediately regretting the edge in his voice. "Sorry, There's a critical presentation tomorrow. Sarah's been pulling everything together and—" "Sarah?" Amanda said the name like it tasted bad. "She works for you, Marcus. That's literally her job. To do the work so you don't have to. That's why you pay her." Marcus grabbed his keys from the crystal bowl by the door, a wedding gift from Amanda's parents even though they weren't married. Her mother called it manifesting. He'd called it presumptuous, but hadn't said so out loud. "It's not about having to. I want to. We built this company together." "You built it, baby. You're the genius." Amanda was scrolling through her phone again, already losing interest in the conversation. "Sarah just does whatever she does, spreadsheets or something." The elevator ride down felt longer than the ride up. The Chen Analytics offices occupied the entire 40th floor of the Columbia Tower, with views that stretched from Mount Rainier to the Olympic Mountains on clear days. Tonight, the sunset painted the glass buildings in shades of copper and gold, and the office was nearly empty. Just the cleaning crew and, as promised, Sarah Kim at her desk in the corner office she'd earned 3 years ago when Marcus had promoted her from senior analyst to chief operating officer. She didn't look up when Marcus approached, too focused on the 3 monitors arrayed in front of her, each displaying different aspects of tomorrow's presentation. Her dark hair was pulled back in a messy bun, and she'd kicked off her heels under her desk, working in stocking feet like she always did when she stayed late. "You didn't have to come back," Sarah said, still not looking away from the screens. "I know you do. That's not why I'm here." Marcus pulled up a chair, studying the data visualizations she'd created. They were brilliant, as always, turning complex analytics into intuitive, compelling stories that even the most tech-illiterate board member could understand. "I'm here because this is my company too, and preparing for a presentation that could bring in $40 million in new contracts seems like something I should participate in." Sarah finally turned to face him, and he noticed the dark circles under her eyes, partially hidden by makeup, but visible this close. "When's the last time you slept?" "When's the last time you approved a vacation request for yourself?" she countered. "Touché." Marcus loosened his tie completely, pulling it off and tossing it on the guest chair. "Show me what you got." For the next 2 hours, they worked the way they always had. Marcus asking questions, Sarah anticipating problems, both of them building on each other's ideas until the presentation was airtight. This was the part of his life that still made sense, Marcus realized. The work, the challenge, the partnership with someone who cared about the company as much as he did. "This slide here," Sarah said, pointing to a projection model. "They're going to push back on the timeline, I guarantee it. So I built 2 alternate scenarios, one accelerated, one extended, with risk assessments for each. Whatever direction they want to go, we're ready." "You're terrifying," Marcus says, grinning, in the best possible way. Sarah smiled, a real smile, not the practiced, camera-ready smile Amanda deployed like a weapon. "My mom called me stubborn. My professors called me intense. I prefer thorough." "How are your siblings doing? Tommy's in his 2nd year at UW now, right?" Sarah's expression softened. "Dean's list again, and Mia just got accepted to the nursing program at Seattle U, which means I'm officially putting 3 kids through college on a COO salary." She said it lightly, but Marcus heard the weight behind it. The years of being the responsible one, the oldest daughter who became the parent when their mother got sick, who worked 2 jobs while finishing her own degree, who never asked for anything she hadn't earned 10 times over. "You know I could." "Don't." Sarah held up a hand. "I've got this. They're my responsibility, and I'm proud to do it. Besides, you pay me more than fairly. I just choose to invest in education instead of—" She trailed off, clearly regretting the direction of her sentence. "Instead of Valentino dresses and Bali villas," Marcus finished for her. Sarah's cheeks colored. That's not my business." "It's fine. You're not wrong." Marcus leaned back in his chair, suddenly exhausted in a way that had nothing to do with the long day. "Can I ask you something? And I want you to be honest." "Always am." "Do you think I've changed? Since the company took off, I mean? Since the money?" Sarah considered the question, her analytical mind visible in the way she tilted her head, weighing her words. "You're still you. Still the guy who remembers everyone's birthday, who shows up to review presentations at 7 p.m., who cares about building something meaningful. But sometimes I think you forget that not everyone around you has the same motivations you do. You assume people care about the work, the mission, the challenge. You assume partnership. And that's beautiful, Marcus. It's one of your best qualities. But it also makes you vulnerable." The word hung in the air between them. Marcus's phone buzzed. A text from Sarah Kim, his COO. "Are you coming home tonight, or should I eat without you?" He looked at the message, then at Sarah, still in her office at 7:45 p.m., preparing for a meeting that would determine the company's next quarter, her stocking feet tucked under her chair, her third cup of coffee going cold. "Eat without me," he typed back. "This is important." Amanda's response was immediate. "Fine, I'm ordering from that sushi place. Hope you don't mind. It's $200 for delivery, but their omakase is amazing." Marcus put his phone face down on the desk. "Let's run through the presentation one more time. I want to be perfect tomorrow." Sarah nodded, turning back to her monitors, and they worked until the Seattle skyline transformed from sunset gold to nighttime glitter. The morning of the board presentation arrived with Seattle's typical gray drizzle, the kind of rain that wasn't quite committed enough to be called a storm, but persisted enough to soak through inadequate umbrellas. Marcus arrived at the office at 6 a.m., surprised to find Sarah already there, looking impossibly fresh, despite the fact that he knew she'd stayed until at least 10 p.m. the night before. "Did you sleep here?" he asked, only half joking. "Went home at 11, back at 5, Sarah said, adjusting the presentation on the main conference room screen. "Couldn't sleep anyway. Too much caffeine and adrenaline." The presentation went flawlessly. The board members from Tecton Industries, a massive conglomerate looking to overhaul their entire data infrastructure, asked every question Sarah had predicted, and she and Marcus responded with the alternate scenarios she'd prepared. By noon, they had a handshake agreement for a $42 million contract, the largest in Chen Analytics history. "We did it," Marcus said, as the elevator doors closed on the last board member, leaving him and Sarah alone in the conference room. The adrenaline was still singing through his veins, his heart pounding with the particular euphoria that came from a perfect execution. "You did it," Sarah said, but she was grinning too, that rare, unguarded smile that transformed her entire face. "That answer you gave about scalability, pure genius. Built on your data models. We did this together, Sarah. We always do." For a moment, they just stood there, two people who'd spent years building something meaningful, surrounded by the evidence of their success, the awards on the walls, the employee photos from company retreats, the thank you notes from clients whose businesses they transformed. Marcus's phone shattered the moment with a burst of notifications. 6 texts from Amanda, each with more exclamation points than the last. "OMG, OMG, OMG. Babe, I have the most amazing news. Call me right now. Marcus Chen, you better be reading these. Call me!" He dialed her number, and she answered before the first ring completed. "Finally! I've been trying to reach you for an hour." Amanda's voice was pitched higher than usual, vibrating with excitement. "You will not believe what just happened. Like, I literally cannot even process this right now." "What's going on?" Marcus asked, moving toward the window where the rain was streaking down the glass in silver rivulets. "Jennifer Carlisle, you know, from my Pilates class, the one whose husband owns those car dealerships. Well, her sister is VP of marketing at Luminex Communications, and apparently they've been looking for a brand director for their new luxury division, and Jennifer showed my Instagram, and Marcus, they want to interview me." Marcus felt something lift in his chest, a weight he hadn't quite acknowledged carrying. "Amanda, that's incredible. Luminex is huge. When's the interview?" "That's the thing. It's not really an interview. Jennifer's sister already loves my aesthetic, my following, my whole vibe. She basically offered me the job, pending a formal meeting, but that's just a formality. $140,000 a year, plus bonuses, plus I'd get to travel to fashion weeks and product launches. And Marcus, this is everything I've ever wanted." "That's amazing, babe. I'm so proud of you." And he was. The relief was almost physical. Amanda with her own career, her own purpose, her own money. A real partnership, finally. "When do you start?" There was a pause on the other end of the line. Just a beat too long. "Well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about," Amanda said, her voice shifting to a tone Marcus had learned to recognize, the one she used when she wanted something. "The thing is, the job is really demanding, like 50-hour weeks, constant travel, early mornings, late nights. And I've been thinking about it all morning, and I just don't think it's the right fit for me right now." "What do you mean, not the right fit? You just said it's everything you've ever wanted." "I mean, it would be amazing, but Marcus, think about it. When would I see you? When would we travel? I'd have to give up my morning routine, my workout classes, my lunch dates with the girls. And for what? Money we don't need?" "It's not about the money, Amanda. It's about having your own thing, your own purpose, your own—" "I have my own thing," Amanda interrupted, and there was an edge creeping into her voice now. "I have my Instagram. 58,000 followers, Marcus. Brands send me free products. I'm building something. Posting pictures isn't a career." "Oh, so now you're saying what I do doesn't matter?" Her voice climbed higher. "I work hard on my content, Marcus. Do you know how much time goes into getting the perfect shot? The editing, the engagement?" Marcus pinched the bridge of his nose, feeling a headache building behind his eyes. Through the glass wall of his office, he could see Sarah tactfully leaving the conference room, giving him privacy. "That's not what I'm saying. I just think having a real job would be good for you, for us." "A real job," Amanda repeated, her voice going flat. "Okay, wow. You know what I mean."
I really don't, Marcus. Let me ask you something. Why do I need a job when you make more in a month than most people make in a year? What's the point of you being successful if I have to wake up at 6 a.m. and sit in meetings and do all of the things you do? Isn't the whole point that I don't have to? Marcus felt something cold settle in his stomach. The point of me being successful was never to fund someone else's lifestyle, Amanda. I thought we were partners. "We are partners." Amanda's laugh crackled through the phone speaker, sharp, incredulous. "God, Marcus, you're so— Look, I'm going to say something, and I need you to really hear me, okay? Are you listening?" "I'm listening." "Spending your money is my job, baby." The words hit him like a physical blow. Marcus actually pulled the phone away from his ear, staring at it as if the device itself had betrayed him. "What did you just say?" "Oh, come on, don't act so shocked. You're a smart guy. You had to know this is how it works. I maintain myself, I look amazing, I'm the perfect partner for your events and galas and business dinners. I make you look good. That's my contribution. And honestly, I'm very, very good at it." Marcus walked to his desk, needing something solid to lean against. Outside, the rain was falling harder now, blurring the city into abstract impressions of gray and light. "You're serious right now." "Of course I'm serious. Marcus, think about it. You need someone who can drop everything to travel with you, who looks perfect in photos, who knows how to work a room. You think I just woke up like this? The personal trainers, the nutritionists, the dermatologists, the hair appointments, that's all work. That's all for you, for us." "For your Instagram, you mean? What's the difference?" Amanda's voice had lost its pleading tone now, replaced with something harder. "Look, I get that this is your whole bootstrap, self-made thing, but Marcus, you won. You already did the struggling and grinding and working yourself to death. That's done. Now you get to enjoy it. We get to enjoy it. Why would you want me exhausted and stressed from some corporate job when I could be planning amazing experiences for us, maintaining our home, being available when you need me?" Marcus sat down heavily in his chair, 3 years of his relationship suddenly refracting through a different lens. Every shopping trip, every vacation, every time he pulled out his credit card without thinking because he could afford it, because he wanted to make her happy, because he thought her happiness was somehow proof of his success. "I need you to listen to me very carefully," Marcus said, his voice quiet but steady. "I didn't build this company so I could be someone's personal ATM. I built it because I believe in creating something meaningful, in working for something, in partnership, real partnership, where both people contribute something beyond their physical appearance." Oh my God, you're being so dramatic. I contribute plenty. Your contribution is spending my money. You just said that. Those were your exact words. I was joking. No, you weren't. And he realized it was true. She hadn't been joking. The laugh was real, the laugh of someone stating an obvious fact. You actually believe that's a job. That's how you see yourself, as someone whose purpose is to spend someone else's money. You know what? Fine. You want me to take the job? I'll take the stupid job. God forbid I have an opinion about my own life. That's not what this is about anymore, Amanda. Something in his tone must have registered because Amanda went quiet on the other end of the line. When she spoke again, her voice was smaller, uncertain. What do you mean? I mean, I need you to leave. Silence. Then, leave where? We're not even together right now. You're at the office. Leave the penthouse. Leave us. This relationship. I need you to go. Marcus, you're being insane. You're mad about the job thing, I get it, but you can't just... We've been together for 3 years. 3 years where apparently you saw me as a paycheck? 3 years where your contribution was looking good in photos and spending my money. 3 years where I was building something with someone who wasn't actually with me at all. That's not fair, Amanda's voice cracked. I love you. Do you? Or do you love what I can provide? That's the same thing. Marcus, you can't separate who you are from what you've accomplished. Your success is part of you. Of course I love what you've built. Sarah loves what I've built, Marcus said quietly, and even as the words left his mouth, he realized they were true. She's here at 6 a.m. preparing for presentations. She stays until midnight fixing problems. She turned down a higher paying offer from Microsoft last year because she believes in this company. That's loving what someone's built. What you love is the product, the lifestyle, the credit card. Don't you dare compare me to your employee. She's not my employee. She's my partner. She's been my partner for 6 years, building this company from nothing, and I've been so blind thinking I had a partner at home too. Oh my God! Amanda's laugh was bitter now, all the sweetness gone. Oh my God, this is about her. You're in love with your little worker bee, aren't you? Is that what this is? You're trading me in for someone more convenient? This has nothing to do with Sarah. This is about you and me, and what we apparently never were. You're going to regret this, Amanda said, her voice turning cold. You think you're going to find someone better? Someone who puts up with your 16-hour workdays and your obsession with your company? Good luck, Marcus. You're almost 32 years old. Women want security. They want someone who can provide. And guess what? That's not shameful. That's smart. Then I guess I want someone not so smart. Someone who wants to build something with me, not just spend what I've built. Fine. Amanda's voice was ice now. Fine. I'll pack my things. But when you're lonely in 6 months, when you realize that women who look like me don't work 70-hour weeks, when Sarah or whoever turns you down because she values her career more than she values you, don't come crawling back. She hung up. Marcus sat in his office chair, phone still pressed to his ear, listening to the silence where Amanda's voice had been. Outside, the rain continued its steady assault on the windows, and somewhere 40 floors below, the city moved on with its day, indifferent to the small demolition that had just occurred in his life. A soft knock on his door. Sarah stood there, 2 cups of coffee in her hands, her expression carefully neutral. I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but the walls are glass, and you weren't exactly whispering. I brought coffee. The good stuff from the 3rd floor, not the break room sludge. Marcus took the cup she offered, grateful for something to do with his hands. I just blew up my relationship. I know. Sarah sat down in the chair across from him, cradling her own coffee. How do you feel? Like I just woke up from a 3-year nap. Like I've been funding my own elaborate delusion. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. She actually said it. Spending my money is my job. Like that was a reasonable thing to believe. Some people are raised to think that way, Sarah said carefully. that their value is in their appearance, in their ability to attract someone who can provide. It's not entirely her fault. Society tells women that's a valid life strategy. You don't believe that? No, Sarah agreed. I don't. My mom worked 3 jobs to keep us afloat after my dad left. She taught me that self-sufficiency isn't just practical, it's dignified. That partnership should be about mutual respect, mutual effort, mutual growth. But not everyone gets that lesson. Marcus looked at her, really looked at her. This woman who'd been beside him for 6 years, who'd never asked for anything she hadn't earned, who celebrated every company victory like it was her own, because it was, who stayed late not because she had to, but because she cared, who was building her own life while helping him build his. "Thank you," he said quietly. "For what?" "For being real, for giving a damn, for showing me what actual partnership looks like even if I've been too stupid to see it clearly until now." Sarah's cheeks colored slightly, and she looked down at her coffee. "That's just who I am, Marcus. I don't know how to be any other way." "I know. That's the point." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, the rain providing a gentle percussion against the windows, and the city sprawling below them in its infinite complexity. Millions of people living millions of lives, some real, some performed, most somewhere in between. Marcus's phone buzzed. A text from Amanda. "I'm coming to get my things this afternoon. I'll have movers. I'd appreciate it if you weren't there." He typed back, "Fine. Leave your key with the concierge." Another buzz, almost immediately. "You're really doing this? Throwing away 3 years over one conversation?" Marcus looked at the message, then at Sarah, who was tactfully pretending to check her own phone. He thought about Amanda's laugh when she'd said spending his money is her job. Not apologetic, not embarrassed, but matter of fact, obvious. He thought about the Valentino dress and the Bali villa and the endless shopping trips and the way she'd never once asked about his actual work, his actual dreams, his actual self beyond what it could provide. He typed, "I'm not throwing away 3 years.
I'm recognizing that I spent 3 years with someone who was never actually there. Good luck, Amanda. I hope you find what you're looking for." He didn't wait for a response. He silenced his phone and set it face down on the desk. "So," Sarah said, setting down her empty coffee cup, "we have a $42 million contract to execute on. Want to start planning the implementation strategy, or do you need a personal day?" Marcus smiled, a real smile, maybe the first genuine one he'd managed in months. "Let's get to work. I think I've had enough personal drama for one day." Good call. Besides, celebrating a massive contract win by immediately strategizing how to deliver on it, that's very on brand for us. "Us," Marcus repeated. "Yeah, I like the sound of that." They moved to the conference room, spreading out laptops and notepads, diving into the complex logistics of what they'd promised Tecton Industries. And as they worked, Sarah anticipating problems, Marcus designing solutions, both of them building on each other's ideas with the natural rhythm of people who'd been genuine partners all along, Marcus felt something he hadn't experienced in his relationship with Amanda once. He felt like he was exactly where he was supposed to be, with exactly who he was supposed to be with, even if he wasn't quite ready to admit what that meant. Not yet. The penthouse felt different when Marcus returned that evening. Emptier, though Amanda hadn't removed her things yet. Or maybe it had always been empty, and he was only now noticing the absence of anything real. He walked through rooms decorated in shades of white and gray, expensive and sterile, realizing he couldn't remember choosing any of it. Amanda had handled the interior designer, the furniture, the art on the walls, abstract pieces that cost thousands and meant nothing.
His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "This is Jennifer Carlisle. I don't know what you said to Amanda, but you should know she's devastated. She loves you. She's just confused about the job thing. Give her another chance." Marcus deleted it without responding. Another text, this time from Amanda's mother. "Marcus, dear, I'm sure this is just a misunderstanding. Amanda told me about your little spat. She's young and sometimes says things without thinking, but she adores you. Please don't throw away what you have over a silly job offer." He turned off his phone entirely. The silence of the penthouse pressed in on him. 15,000 square feet of luxury and not one corner that felt like home. Marcus loosened his tie, poured himself a drink he didn't want, and stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows watching the city lights flicker on as dusk settled over Seattle. Somewhere out there, Amanda was probably already telling their story to her friends, casting herself as the victim of his unreasonable expectations. Somewhere out there, Sarah was probably at her modest apartment in Fremont, making dinner for her siblings, helping with homework, living a life of actual substance. He'd never been to Sarah's apartment, he realized. In 6 years of working together, of building a company together, of spending more waking hours with her than anyone else in his life, he'd never seen where she lived, how she lived. He knew she had younger siblings, knew she was putting them through college, knew her mother had passed away 3 years ago from cancer. But the details of her actual life, the texture of her daily existence beyond the office, it was a blank space in his understanding. Meanwhile, he could describe every restaurant Amanda preferred, every boutique she frequented, every spa treatment she considered essential. He knew her esthetician's name. He knew her preferred champagne. He knew which angles she liked in photos. But did he know her? Had he ever? The next morning, Marcus woke to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. He'd forgotten to leave his phone off. Most were from Amanda's friends, women he'd met at brunches and parties, women whose names he barely remembered, all saying variations of the same thing. "You're making a huge mistake. Amanda is attached. You'll regret this." One message stood out. From Derek Chen, his cousin. "Dude, Amanda's posting some pretty wild stuff on Instagram. Might want to check it out. Or maybe don't. Your call." Against his better judgment, Marcus opened Instagram. Amanda's latest post was a photo of herself, expertly lit, professionally composed, sitting on the penthouse balcony in one of his shirts, looking pensively at the city with artful tears on her cheeks. The caption read, "Sometimes the people we love most don't see our value. Sometimes we give everything, our time, our beauty, our devotion, and it's still not enough. To everyone asking, yes, we're going through something. Yes, it hurts. No, I won't give up on us. Real love fights. Real love doesn't quit over one misunderstanding. Hashtag heartbroken, relationship struggles, never giving up, true love." The post had 3,847 likes and 612 comments, most from people Marcus had never met. "He doesn't deserve you, girl." "Men don't appreciate what they have until it's gone." "Stay strong, queen. Make him realize what he's losing." "If he can't see your worth, that's his loss, babe." Marcus closed the app. His head was pounding. A knock at the door, gentle, tentative, the housekeeper probably. But when he opened it, Sarah stood there, holding a bag from his favorite breakfast place, looking uncertain in a way he'd never seen her before. "I'm sorry to just show up," she said quickly. "I know this is your home, and that's weird, but you weren't answering your phone, and we had the Tecton kickoff meeting at noon, and I just wanted to make sure you were—" She trailed off, seeming to really see him for the first time.
Okay, which you're clearly not. I'm fine, Marcus said automatically, then caught her expression. Okay, I'm not fine, but I will be. Come in. You brought food? Breakfast sandwiches from that place in Pike Place, the one you always talk about but never have time to actually go to. Sarah stepped into the penthouse, her eyes widening slightly as she took in the space. Wow, this is soulless, sterile, like a very expensive hotel. I was going to say impressive, but those work too. She set the bag on the kitchen counter, marble that probably cost more than her car. Have you slept? Some. You? Enough. She pulled out the sandwiches, finding plates and cabinets that probably cost more than her monthly rent. You need to eat, and then you need to shower and put on human clothes, because we have a very important meeting in 4 hours, and we're going to nail it like we nail everything. Marcus sat at the counter the first time he'd actually eaten in this kitchen in months. He and Amanda always went out, and unwrapped the sandwich. The first bite was a revelation. Warm, savory, real. How did you know I'd be here and not at the office? Because you're processing something huge, and you always process away from work. Remember when we lost the Mercer contract 2 years ago? You disappeared for a whole day, then came back with a completely new strategy. You need space to think. You know me better than I thought.
I've been paying attention for 6 years. Sarah pulled out her own sandwich, but didn't eat it yet. Marcus, I know this is none of my business, but are you okay? Really? He set down his sandwich, suddenly not hungry despite not eating since lunch yesterday. I keep replaying the conversation. Spending your money is my job. She said it like it was obvious, like I should have known that was the deal. Maybe in her mind it was. That's what scares me, that for 3 years we were in completely different relationships. I thought we were partners. She thought she was, what, an employee? A contractor? Paid in shopping trips and vacations instead of a salary? I don't think she thought about it that transactionally, Sarah said carefully. I think she genuinely believed that being beautiful and available was her contribution, that her value was in her appearance, her social media presence, her ability to look good on your arm. And in some worlds, that is considered valuable. But not in mine. No, not in yours. Sarah finally took a bite of her sandwich, chewing thoughtfully. You value substance, building things, effort, mutual respect. You always have. It's why you started this company, because you wanted to create something meaningful, not just make money. Anyone who actually knows you knows that. She never knew me, not really. She knew Marcus Chen, successful tech entrepreneur. She didn't know Marcus Chen, the guy who still gets nervous before presentations, who reads fantasy novels to decompress, who cares more about solving interesting problems than attending fancy parties. For what it's worth, Sarah said, I like that Marcus Chen better than the other one anyway. They sat in silence for a moment, eating breakfast in a kitchen designed for display rather than use, while warning lights streamed through windows that cost more than most people's yearly salary. Can I ask you something? And I need you to be honest. When am I not? Fair point. He turned to face her fully. Do you think I'm a sellout? That I've become the kind of person who's so focused on success that I've lost sight of what matters? Sarah set down her sandwich, considering the question with the same careful analysis she brought to every problem. I think you built something amazing, and that came with money and recognition. I think you enjoyed being able to provide for someone, to not have to worry about budgets, to experience the life you'd worked so hard to achieve. And I think someone took advantage of that generosity and made you question your own values. She paused. But no, you're not a sellout. You're still the guy who approved the policy to pay all employees' healthcare premiums, even though it cut into profits,
who created the scholarship fund for employees' kids, who refused to take the company public because you didn't want to answer to shareholders who only care about quarterly earnings. Your values haven't changed. You just had a blind spot about someone who didn't share them. Marcus felt something tight in his chest loosen slightly. Thank you for that. For being here, for bringing breakfast, and forcing me to be a human. That's what partners do, Sarah said simply. The word hung between them. Partners. Loaded with new meaning after yesterday's conversation. Marcus's phone, lying face up on the counter, lit up with a notification. Another Instagram post from Amanda. Despite himself, he looked. This one was a photo of the two of them from their trip to Paris 6 months ago. Amanda in a designer dress, Marcus in a tuxedo, both of them laughing at some charity gala. The caption? Remember when we were happy? I do. I remember every moment, every laugh, every adventure. Some things are worth fighting for. Some loves don't quit. I'm not giving up on us, even if you have. Hashtag Paris memories. Hashtag real love. Hashtag worth fighting. Hashtag second chances. Comments were already flooding in. Go get your man, girl. He's going to realize what he lost. True love conquers all. If it's meant to be, he'll come back.
Sarah, who could see the screen, frowned. She's turning your breakup into content. Of course she is. It's what she does. Everything's content. Everything's a photo opportunity. Our entire relationship was probably just material for her feed. Marcus closed his phone. You know what the worst part is? Some of those photos, those moments she's posting, I remember them differently now. I remember her being more interested in getting the right angle than actually experiencing whatever we were doing. At the Eiffel Tower, she spent 45 minutes staging photos. We never even talked about being in Paris. We just documented it. Did you love her? Sarah asked quietly. Marcus thought about it. Really thought about it. Maybe for the first time. I loved the idea of her. I loved having someone who seemed excited about the life I could provide. I loved feeling like I'd made it enough to have the beautiful girlfriend and the perfect Instagram life. But did I love her, the actual person, whoever that is? I don't know if I ever knew her well enough to answer that. That's sad. Yeah, it really is. Marcus stood up, suddenly needing to move. We should get ready for the Tecton meeting. You're right. We need to nail this. Marcus, Sarah said, staying seated. Can I say one more thing? Always. Don't let this make you cynical. Don't let one person who valued the wrong things make you think everyone's like that. Most people are real. Most people want genuine connection. You just picked someone who wasn't ready for that or capable of it or whatever. But that's on her, not on humanity in general. When did you become so wise? I've always been wise. You just weren't paying attention. She grinned. Now go shower. You look like hell, and we have a company to run. The Tecton kickoff meeting went perfectly, as Marcus had known it would with Sarah orchestrating the details. They met at Tecton's headquarters in Bellevue, presenting their implementation strategy to a room full of executives who nodded approvingly at every phase. Sarah had prepared backup plans for the backup plans, and when the CTO asked about potential scalability issues, she had a detailed answer ready before Marcus could even open his mouth. Watching her command the room, confident, competent, brilliant, Marcus felt a shift in his perception. How had he never noticed how extraordinary she was? How present, how engaged, how genuinely passionate about the work? After the meeting, as they walked to the parking garage, the Tecton CTO pulled Marcus aside. Your OOO is remarkable. I've worked with a lot of tech firms, and I've never seen someone so thoroughly prepared. You're lucky to have her. I know, Marcus said, glancing at Sarah, who was already checking her phone, probably already working on next steps. Believe me, I know. That evening, Marcus returned to the empty penthouse to find Amanda's movers had come and gone.
She'd taken her clothes, her jewelry, her designer bags, her beauty products that had taken up an entire bathroom, leaving behind a space that was somehow even emptier than before. But she'd also left a note propped up on the kitchen counter. Marcus, I'm not going to apologize for being honest about what I bring to a relationship. You wanted me to be something I'm not, some career-driven corporate woman who's too busy for her own life. That's not me. That will never be me. I made you look good. I made your life beautiful. I gave you someone you could be proud to have on your arm. If you can't see the value in that, then maybe Sarah's better suited for you. Someone who will work themselves to death right alongside you, never questioning why. Good luck, Marcus. I hope you find whatever it is you're looking for. Though I suspect you're going to realize that women who look like me don't work 70-hour weeks, and women who work 70-hour weeks don't look like me. You can't have both. A. Marcus read the note twice, then a third time, waiting to feel something. Anger, regret, sadness. But all he felt was a distant sense of relief, like finally setting down a weight he'd been carrying without realizing it. He crumpled the note and threw it away. His phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. Implementation timeline drafted. Sending you the doc. Feel free to review tomorrow. You've had enough work for the day. He texted back. Thanks for today. For everything. I mean it. Her response came quickly. That's what partners do. Get some rest. There was that word again. Partners. Marcus looked around the empty penthouse, at the expensive furniture and the abstract art, and the marble counters that probably cost more than Sarah's entire apartment. None of it felt like his. None of it felt real. He pulled out his laptop and opened a search for apartments in Fremont, Sarah's neighborhood. Smaller places, older buildings, but with actual character. Places where people lived real lives, not performed ones. Maybe it was time to figure out who Marcus Chen actually was, without the penthouse and the lifestyle and the beautiful girlfriend who'd never been a partner at all. Maybe it was time to build something real, starting with himself.
3 weeks passed. Marcus moved into a smaller apartment. Still nice, still comfortable, but human-sized. But the kitchen meant for cooking and windows that opened to let in actual air. He bought furniture he picked out himself, hung art he actually liked, created a space that felt like him. Amanda's Instagram documented her recovery. Photos with other men at expensive restaurants, captions about knowing your worth and never settling, and upgrade season. Her followers ate it up. She'd gained 10,000 new followers since their breakup, monetizing their relationship's end into sponsored posts and brand deals. Marcus stopped checking after the first week. At work, he and Sarah fell into an even deeper rhythm. Without the distraction of his relationship, Marcus found himself noticing things he'd somehow missed. The way Sarah's face lit up when they solved a difficult problem. How she brought coffee for the whole team during late nights. The fact that she knew everyone's names, everyone's kids' names, everyone's stories. She wasn't just brilliant. She was genuinely kind, genuinely present, genuinely invested in people's lives. One evening, working late on a proposal for a new client, Marcus looked up from his laptop to find Sarah watching him with an odd expression. "What?" he asked. "Nothing. Just..." She shook her head. "You seem different. Lighter, somehow." "I feel different. Clearer." Marcus leaned back in his chair. "It's like I was living someone else's life for 3 years, performing success instead of actually living it. And now? Now I'm just here, doing work I care about with people I respect, living in a place that feels like mine. It's quieter, simpler, but it feels real." "Real is good," Sarah smiled. "Yeah, it really is. I realized something embarrassing. I've known you for 6 years, and I've never seen your apartment, never met your siblings. I know facts about your life, but I don't actually know your life." "You've been busy building an empire," Sarah said lightly. "That's not an excuse. You've been building it with me, and I should have paid attention to more than just your work. So, would you want to have dinner sometime? Not a business dinner, just dinner. Get to know each other as actual people, not just colleagues. Something flickered across Sarah's face. Surprise, pleasure, then something more guarded. Marcus, I don't think that's a good idea. The rejection stung more than he expected. Oh, okay. I just thought you just got out of a serious relationship, like 3 weeks ago, and you're realizing your partner wasn't actually your partner, and you're processing a lot, and She paused, choosing words carefully. I'm the person who was there, the person who saw you at your worst and helped you through it. That creates a kind of intensity that might feel like something it's not. You think I'm rebounding. I think you're figuring out what you actually want, and that's good. That's healthy. But I don't want to be the person you figure it out with and then realize isn't the answer you were looking for. Sarah's voice was gentle but firm. You're my best friend, Marcus. You're my partner in this company that we built together. I'm not willing to risk that on timing that might be wrong. The rejection stung more than he expected. Oh, okay. I just thought you just got out of a serious relationship, like 3 weeks ago, and you're realizing your partner wasn't actually your partner, and you're processing a lot. She paused, choosing words carefully. I'm the person who was there, the person who saw you at your worst and helped you through it. That creates a kind of intensity that might feel like something it's not. You think I'm rebounding. I think you're figuring out what you actually want, and that's good. That's healthy. But I don't want to be the person you figure it out with and then realize isn't the answer you were looking for. Sarah's voice was gentle but firm. You're my best friend, Marcus. You're my partner in this company that we built together. I'm not willing to risk that on timing that might be wrong. Marcus felt the truth in her words, even as his heart sank. So, never or just not now? Ask me again in 6 months. If you still want to, after you've had time to really process everything, after you figured out who you are without Amanda, after you're sure you're not just looking for the opposite of what you had, then ask me again. And I'll say yes. 6 months. 6 months. Build yourself, Marcus. Figure out what you actually want from life, from partnership, from everything. Don't just react away from what you didn't want. Move toward what you do want. And if what I want is you, Sarah's expression softened. Then I'll still be here in 6 months. But you need to be sure. We both need to be sure. Because if we do this, if we cross that line, I need it to be real. Not rebound, not convenience, not gratitude. Real. Marcus nodded slowly. 6 months. Okay, I can do 6 months. Good. Now, can we please finish this proposal? We have a presentation at 9 a.m. They returned to work, but something had shifted, an acknowledgement of possibility, deferred but not denied. And as they collaborated on the proposal, their familiar rhythm somehow felt different now, charged with a tension that was equal parts exciting and terrifying. 6 months suddenly felt like an eternity. But Sarah was right. She was usually right. If this was going to be real, and God, He wanted it to be real, then it needed to be done right. Even if waiting felt impossible.
5 months and 3 weeks. Marcus had counted every day, though he tried to pretend he wasn't. 5 months and 3 weeks since Sarah had asked him to wait, to become the person who could enter a relationship for the right reasons, rather than running from the wrong ones. He'd taken her advice seriously, perhaps more seriously than she'd expected. The first thing he did was start therapy. Dr. Patricia Morrison had an office in Capitol Hill that smelled like lavender and contained the most comfortable chair Marcus had ever sat in. Twice a week, he sat in that chair and unpacked 3 years of a performative relationship, examining why he'd been attracted to Amanda in the first place, what needs he'd been trying to fill, why he'd confused appearance with substance.
You wanted proof, Dr. Morrison said during their 8th session. Proof that you'd succeeded. And in our culture, that proof often looks like the beautiful partner, the luxury lifestyle, the envy of others. You weren't in love with Amanda. You were in love with what having Amanda said about you. That makes me sound shallow. It makes you sound human. Most people seek external validation. You're just honest enough to admit it and do the work to change it. He did change it. He stopped checking Instagram entirely, deleted the app from his phone. He started cooking, actually cooking, following YouTube tutorials and making a mess of his kitchen and discovering he was terrible at it, but enjoyed it anyway. He joined a rec league basketball team, playing with accountants and teachers and software developers who had no idea who he was and didn't care. He read the fantasy novels he'd been too busy for. He went to the gym not to maintain an image, but because moving his body felt good. He took a weekend trip to Portland alone, wandering Powell's books for hours, eating at food carts, doing nothing impressive or Instagram-worthy, just being. At work, things evolved too. Marcus promoted 2 talented employees to senior positions, delegating more and trusting his team. He and Sarah maintained their partnership, professional, respectful, and underlaid with a current of something neither acknowledged but both felt. They were careful not to cross lines, to keep things appropriate, but Marcus caught her watching him sometimes, with an expression he couldn't quite read. Hope, maybe? Or fear? Possibly both. He went on a few dates. A lawyer friend set him up with a colleague, and he tried a dating app for exactly 2 weeks before deleting it in frustration. None of them were Sarah. He didn't want them to be, and that felt like important information. At month 4, his cousin, Derek, cornered him at a family dinner. So, you gonna tell me about you and Sarah, or are we still pretending there's nothing there? There's nothing there, Marcus said automatically, then caught Derek's expression. Yet, maybe. She asked me to wait. Wait for what? 6 months, to make sure I wasn't rebounding, to figure out who I am without Amanda. Whistle low. That's some serious emotional intelligence. I like her already. Yeah, me too. So what happens when the 6 months are up? I had thought about this constantly, played out the scenarios, imagined the conversations, rehearsed possible words. I asked her to dinner, a real dinner, and we see if this thing that feels like it might be something actually is something. And if she says no, then I'll have spent 6 months becoming a better person anyway. So either way, it's not wasted time. Derek clapped him on the shoulder. You have grown up, little cousin. I'm impressed.
5 months and 3 weeks turned into 5 months and 4 weeks. 3 days until the 6-month deadline Marcus had marked on his calendar in his apartment, circled in red like a deadline for the most important proposal of his life. Then Amanda showed up. She appeared at the Chin Analytics office on a Tuesday afternoon, somehow bypassing security, looking simultaneously worse and better than Marcus remembered. Thinner, her collarbone sharp above a designer dress he didn't recognize. Her hair was different, shorter, lighter, but her makeup was perfect, her nails immaculate, her appearance as carefully constructed as ever. "Hello, Marcus," she said, standing in his office doorway like a ghost from a life he deliberately left behind. "Amanda, how did you get up here?" "I told security I was your girlfriend. Old habits." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Can we talk 5 minutes, please?" Marcus glanced at his computer screen. He and Sarah were supposed to review quarterly projections in 20 minutes. 5 minutes, that's it. She closed the door behind her, and suddenly his office felt too small. She'd never been here during their relationship, had never asked to see his workspace, never expressed interest in the actual work he did. Now she looked around like a tourist,
taking in the awards on the walls, the photos from company events, the whiteboards covered in strategic planning. "Nice office," she said. "Very you." "What do you want, Amanda?" She turned to face him, and he saw something in her expression he'd never seen before. Actual vulnerability, unperformed and raw. "I made a mistake, a huge mistake, and I've spent 5 months realizing it." "Amanda, please, just listen." She moved closer, and Marcus caught the familiar scent of her perfume, something that used to mean comfort and now just smelled expensive. "I was wrong about everything, about the job, about what I said, about how I saw our relationship. I was so stupid." "You weren't stupid, you were honest, and I'm grateful for that honesty, actually. It showed me what I needed to see." "I took the job, the Luminex position. I've been there for 4 months now, and Marcus, it's actually amazing. I'm good at it, like really good. I've brought in 3 major clients, and they're talking about promoting me already. I was wrong about not needing my own career. I was wrong about so much." Marcus felt a twist of something, not longing, not regret, more like sadness for what could have been if she'd realized this sooner. "I'm glad you found something meaningful. Really. That's great, Amanda." "It's not just the job. I've been in therapy, working on myself, on understanding why I thought my only value was in how I looked and spending someone else's money. My therapist says I have achievement by association syndrome, that I was trying to feel successful through you instead of building my own success." She laughed, bitter. "Turns out I was raised by a mother who did the same thing, married wealthy, and thought that was the only path for women. Generational trauma is fun." "I'm really glad you're doing that work," Marcus said carefully. "But if you're here to ask for another chance, I know there's someone else, or not someone else, but someone you're interested in. Sarah, right? Your COO, the one who was always there." Marcus felt his jaw tighten. "That's none of your business." "You're right. It's not. But Marcus, I need you to know something before you move on completely. I did love you. Maybe not well, maybe not in a healthy way, but I did. I do. And losing you made me realize that being beautiful and well-dressed and Instagram perfect doesn't mean anything if you're empty inside, if you have no substance, no purpose, no real contribution to make." "Amanda, I'm not asking you to take me back," she said quickly. "I know that ship has sailed. I know I destroyed what we had. I just needed you to know that you weren't wrong to leave. You were right, and I needed to say I'm sorry, really, genuinely sorry. Not for getting caught being honest, but for being that person in the first place, for wasting 3 years of your life with someone who didn't deserve you." Marcus looked at her, this woman he'd spent 3 years with, shared a home with, introduced as his girlfriend hundreds of times, and felt nothing but a distant compassion. She'd been hurt by the same culture that had hurt countless women, taught that their value was external, that their purpose was to be beautiful accessories to successful men. She was working to unlearn it now, and that was admirable. But it was too late for them. "Thank you for saying that," Marcus said quietly. "And I'm sorry too. I should have seen earlier that we weren't good for each other, that we were both performing roles instead of being real people. I enabled it as much as you did." "For what it's worth," Amanda said, moving toward the door, "I looked her up. Sarah. Her LinkedIn, her background. She's impressive. She's accomplished. She's everything I wasn't." She paused, hand on the doorknob. "Don't make the same mistake with her that you made with me." "What mistake?" "Don't just see what she can do for you. See who she is. Love the person, not the partnership, not the convenience, not how good she makes you look or feel. The actual person." Amanda's smile was sad. "I don't think you ever actually saw me, Marcus. You saw a beautiful woman who made you feel successful. Make sure you see Sarah, the real her. She deserves that. Then she was gone, the door clicking shut behind her, leaving Marcus alone with her words echoing in his office.
See the person, not the partnership. Love who she is, not what she does for you. Was that what he was doing with Sarah? Falling for her competence, her reliability, her professional brilliance? Or did he actually love her? Her kindness, her humor, the way she bit her lip when concentrating, her fiercely protective love for her siblings, the fact that she cried during sad movies but pretended she didn't. The question unsettled him more than Amanda's appearance. That evening, as Marcus and Sarah reviewed quarterly projections in the conference room, he couldn't shake Amanda's words. He watched Sarah present the data, clear, concise, brilliant, as always, and tried to separate what he felt. Was it admiration for her competence, gratitude for her partnership, or was it something deeper, something that would survive even if they never worked together again? "You're distracted," Sarah said, setting down her presentation remote. "What's going on?" "Amanda came by today." Sarah's expression flickered. Surprise, concern, something else he couldn't identify. "Oh, what did she want?" "To apologize, to tell me that she's been working on herself, that she realizes she was wrong, that she's taken the job and is doing well." Marcus leaned back in his chair. "And to warn me not to make the same mistakes with you that I made with her." "What mistakes?" "Not seeing the actual person, just seeing the role they play in my life." He met Sarah's eyes. "I asked if you really see you, or if you just see a brilliant COO who makes my life easier." Sarah was quiet for a long moment, her fingers drumming against the conference table, a nervous habit she only displayed when genuinely unsettled. "That's a fair question." "Is it? Because I think I do see you. I think I've been seeing you more clearly over these past 5 months than I saw anything in the 3 years before." "Tell me what you see then." The challenge in her voice was gentle but real. Marcus took a breath, organizing his thoughts the way he would for a critical presentation. "I see someone who works harder than anyone I know, but not because she has to prove something, because she genuinely cares about what we're building. I see someone who put her entire life on hold to raise her siblings after her mother died, who never once complained about the sacrifice, who talks about them with so much pride it makes my chest hurt. I see someone who brings coffee for the whole team during late nights, who remembers everyone's kids' names, who sent flowers when Tom in accounting's father died, even though he's only been with the company 6 months. I see someone who laughs at terrible puns, who gets irrationally competitive about board games, who cried during that Pixar movie we watched on the company retreat and tried to pretend she didn't." Sarah's eyes were shining slightly. "You notice a lot. I see someone who's been my best friend for 6 years, who knows me better than anyone, who I trust more than anyone, who makes me want to be better not because she demands it, but because she inspires it just by being herself. I see someone who's beautiful in every way that actually matters. Someone I think about first thing in the morning and last thing at night. Someone I want to build a life with, not just a company." "Marcus? I know it hasn't been 6 months yet, 3 more days, but I needed you to know that Amanda was wrong. I'm not falling for your competence or your partnership or what you do for me. I'm falling for you, the actual you, the person who exists completely independent of this company or this work or anything professional." Sarah stood up, walking to the windows overlooking the city. The Seattle skyline glittered in the darkness, and Marcus could see her reflection in the glass, thoughtful, conflicted, yearning. "I'm scared," she said quietly. "I'm absolutely terrified." "Of what?" "Of ruining this, of losing my best friend, of discovering that the thing that feels so right is actually wrong, and then not being able to go back to what we had before, of becoming another person who disappoints you, who doesn't live up to what you hoped, who... Sarah, you could never disappoint me. You're incapable of it. Everyone's capable of it. I'm human, I'm flawed, I'm stubborn and competitive, and sometimes I work too hard and forget to eat, and I have control issues that would probably drive you crazy, and I know all of that. I've known you for 6 years. I know you're not perfect. Perfect would be boring. I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm asking you to be exactly who you are, with me as more than colleagues, as partners in everything, not just business. Ask me in 3 days, Sarah whispered. Like we agreed, give me 3 more days to be sure I'm ready, to be sure this is what I want, and not just what I'm afraid to lose. 3 days. 3 days. They stood there, inches apart, an entire city sprawling below them, possibility hanging in the air like electricity before a storm. Then Sarah's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and her expression changed instantly, all color draining from her face. What? What's wrong?
It's Tommy, my brother. He's in the hospital, appendicitis. They're taking him into emergency surgery. Her hands were shaking as she grabbed her bag. I have to go. I'm coming with you. Marcus, you don't have to. Partners, he said firmly. In everything, remember? I'm coming. They took Marcus's car, Sarah's hands still trembling as she called Mia, her younger sister, getting updates. Tommy was already in surgery. It was supposed to be routine, but there had been complications. The appendix had ruptured. They were working on it now. Marcus drove faster than he should have, one hand on the wheel, the other reaching across to hold Sarah's hand. She gripped it like a lifeline. At Swedish Medical Center, they found Mia in the surgical waiting room, 19 years old and trying so hard to be brave, tears streaming down her face the moment she saw Sarah. Sarah pulled her into a fierce hug, and Marcus stood back, giving them space, feeling helpless and desperate to help in equal measure. They said it's bad, Mia sobbed into Sarah's shoulder. They said he was septic, that the infection spread, that they're doing everything they can, but... He's strong, Sarah said, her voice steady even though Marcus could see her hands shaking. He's going to be fine. Tommy's going to be fine. Hours passed. Marcus got coffee that no one drank. He called the office, rescheduled everything for the next 2 days, cleared both his and Sarah's calendars completely. He sat beside Sarah, not talking, just present, his hand available whenever she needed to hold it. At midnight, a surgeon emerged, exhausted but smiling. He's going to be okay. It was touch and go for a while, but we got all the infected tissue, started aggressive antibiotics. He'll need to stay here for at least a week, and recovery will be slow, but he's stable. He's going to make it. Sarah's legs actually gave out. Marcus caught her, holding her up as she sobbed with relief into his chest. Mia was crying too, and then all 3 of them were wrapped in some kind of group embrace, strangers, bound by shared terror and relief. They let Sarah see Tommy briefly, unconscious but stable, looking young and fragile in the hospital bed. She held his hand, whispered something Marcus couldn't hear, then let the nurses usher her back out. You both should go home, Sarah said, looking at Marcus and Mia. Get sleep. I'm staying here. Then I'm staying too. Marcus, you don't have to. I want to. I'm not leaving you here alone. Partners, remember? That doesn't just mean the good times. Sarah's eyes filled with tears again. I don't deserve you. Yes, you do. You deserve someone who shows up. So I'm showing up. They spent the night in uncomfortable waiting room chairs, Sarah dozing fitfully against Marcus's shoulder, Mia curled up on the other side. Marcus didn't sleep at all, just held Sarah, one hand stroking her hair, thinking about what it meant to be a partner, to be there not just for the victories and celebrations, but for the fear,
the exhaustion, the moments when someone needed you to simply exist beside them. At dawn, Sarah woke up, disoriented for a moment before memory crashed back. Tommy, still stable, the nurse checked an hour ago. No changes, which is good. She looked at him, really looked at him, with an expression he'd never seen before. You stayed. All night. Of course I stayed. Amanda wouldn't have. She would have sent flowers and called it sufficient. I'm not Amanda. No, you're not. Marcus, I don't need 3 more days. What? I don't need 3 more days to be sure. I'm sure. Last night, watching you drop everything to come here, to stay with me, to just be present, without expecting anything in return, I'm sure. She took his hand. Ask me now. Whatever you were going to ask in 3 days, ask me now. Marcus felt his heart hammering. This wasn't how he'd planned it. They were exhausted, disheveled, in a hospital waiting room at dawn. There was no romantic dinner, no perfect moment, no rehearsed speech. But maybe that was exactly right. Maybe this was more real than any planned perfection could be. Sarah Kim, will you have dinner with me? A real dinner, not a business dinner. As 2 people who maybe want to see if this partnership could be something even bigger than what we've already built. Sarah smiled, exhausted, tearful, and absolutely radiant. Yes, absolutely yes. But can we order takeout instead? I don't think I can handle a restaurant right now. Marcus laughed, pulling her close. Takeout sounds perfect. They sat there as the sun rose over Seattle, filtering gray light through the waiting room windows, and Marcus realized something profound. This is what partnership actually looks like. Not Instagram photos and expensive vacations and performative perfection, but showing up, being present, holding someone's hand through the terrifying moments, being seen, being real, being enough.
Tommy's recovery was slow but steady. Marcus found himself at Swedish Medical Center more often than his office those first few days, bringing Sarah changes of clothes, real food to supplement the hospital cafeteria, sitting with Tommy when Sarah needed to handle urgent work calls or take Mia home for a few hours of actual sleep. On the 3rd day, Tommy woke up fully lucid for the first time, groggy from pain medication, but aware enough to register Marcus sitting beside his bed, working on a laptop. "You're the boss guy," Tommy said, his voice rough from the breathing tube they'd removed that morning. Marcus looked up, smiling. "I'm Marcus, and technically your sister's the boss too. We run the company together." "She talks about you." Tommy shifted slightly, wincing. "Like, a lot. Probably more than she realizes. Good things, I hope." "Mostly work stuff, but in a way that made it sound like more than work stuff, you know?" Tommy's eyes were surprisingly sharp despite the medication. "Are you dating my sister?" "Working on it," Marcus said honestly. "We just started figuring that out, actually." "Good. She needs someone. She spent her whole life taking care of me and Mia. Nobody takes care of her." Tommy's expression turned serious, older than his 20 years. "You seem like the kind of guy who might actually do that." "I'm going to try," Marcus promised. "Your sister's pretty stubborn about accepting help, though." "Yeah, she gets that from Mom. Mom used to say Sarah was born responsible. Even as a kid, she was the one making sure everyone else was okay. After Mom died, he trailed off, blinking rapidly. She put her whole life on hold for us. She had job offers from Google, Facebook, Apple. Everyone wanted her. But she stayed with your company because the hours were flexible enough that she could still take care of us.
Did you know that? Marcus felt something tighten in his chest. He hadn't known that. She never told me. She wouldn't. That's not how Sarah works. She just does what needs to be done and doesn't expect credit for it. Don't break her heart, okay? She acts tough, but she's not. Not about the people she loves. I won't. I promise. The door opened and Sarah walked in carrying coffee and a bag of bagels, stopping short when she saw both of them awake and talking. "What are you two discussing?" she asked, suspiciously. "Sports," Tommy said quickly. "Company strategy," Marcus said at the same time. Sarah's eyes narrowed. Right, sure. But she was smiling as she kissed Tommy's forehead, checking his monitors with the practiced efficiency of someone who'd spent too much time in hospitals. "How's your pain?" "Like a 6. Better than yesterday." "Good. That's good." She sat on the edge of his bed, and Marcus watched the way Tommy's whole body relaxed when she was near. The absolute trust, the security of knowing she'd handle whatever needed handling. It made Marcus's chest ache with something he couldn't quite name. This was who Sarah was at her core. The person who showed up, who sacrificed, who made sure everyone else was taken care of, even at her own expense. And Marcus realized with absolute certainty that he was completely, irrevocably in love with her.
He was finally discharged with strict instructions for rest and recovery. Sarah had wanted to take time off work to manage his care, but Marcus had other ideas. "Move in with me," he said. They were in his apartment, the smaller, more human-sized one in Fremont, going over schedules and trying to figure out how Sarah could manage Tommy's recovery, Mia's school schedule, and the critical Tecton implementation that was entering its most demanding phase. Sarah looked up from her laptop, startled. "What?" "Move in with me. You and Tommy and Mia, just temporarily, until he's recovered enough to be on his own." Marcus gestured around the apartment. "I have 2 bedrooms I'm not using. Tommy needs someone around 24/7 for at least the next month. You're trying to be in 3 places at once. This solves the problem." "Marcus, that's insane. We just started dating. If you can even call 2 dinner dates and 1 very interrupted coffee date dating. Moving in is practical," Marcus interrupted. "Look, I know it's not conventional, but nothing about us is conventional. And I'm not asking you to move in as a romantic next step. I'm asking because you need help, and I can provide it, and that's what partners do." He paused. "Plus, my apartment is 10 minutes from the office. Your place is 45 minutes in traffic. Think of the productivity gains." Sarah laughed despite herself. "You're making a business case from me moving in with you." "I'm making a practical case. The business benefits are just a bonus." Marcus moved closer, taking her hands. "Sarah, you've spent your entire adult life taking care of everyone else. Let someone take care of you for once. Let me help, please." She looked at him for a long moment, and he could see the war in her expression, the fierce independence that had gotten her through her mother's death and raising her siblings, battling against the exhaustion and the desire to let someone share the burden. 1 month, until Tommy's recovered enough to be independent, and we split groceries and utilities. Deal, though I'm not negotiating on the groceries thing. "Marcus, partners contribute equally, right? So you contribute your presence, your family, the chaos and life that comes with having actual people in this space. I'll contribute the rent and groceries. Seems fair to me." Sarah's eyes were bright. "I don't deserve you." "We really need to work on your self-worth issues," Marcus said, grinning, "because you absolutely do." Moving Sarah, Tommy, and Mia into his apartment was chaos in the best possible way. Suddenly, his quiet, ordered space was full of life. Tommy's video games in the living room, Mia's nursing textbooks on the kitchen table, Sarah's work materials spreading across every surface. The bathroom was crowded with products. The refrigerator was actually full. The apartment smelled like cooking instead of takeout containers. It felt like a home. Tommy set up camp on the couch for the first week, still too sore to navigate stairs comfortably. Marcus found himself enjoying the kids' company, his dry sense of humor, his passion for game design, and his thoughtful questions about running a business. They fell into an easy routine. Marcus would work from home in the mornings, making sure Tommy had everything he needed, while Sarah went into the office early. Then Marcus would head in for afternoon meetings while Sarah came home to be with Tommy. Mia was quieter, more reserved, but Marcus caught her watching him sometimes with an expression of cautious approval. One evening, she approached him while he was making dinner, a simple pasta dish he'd learned from YouTube, one of the few things he could make without burning. "Thank you," Mia said quietly, "for doing this, for taking care of Sarah while she takes care of Tommy. She won't admit it, but she was falling apart trying to do everything. She's not alone anymore. None of you are." Mia smiled, small but genuine. Sarah picked a good one finally. Finally? She's dated before. Guys who couldn't handle how much she worked, or who got weird about her having to take care of us, or who just wanted someone less complicated. You're different. You actually get it. Get her. Marcus felt a warmth spread through his chest. "I'm trying to." When Sarah got home that evening, she stopped in the doorway, taking in the scene. Marcus and Mia cooking together, Tommy shouting commentary on a video game from the couch, the apartment full of noise and life and the particular chaos that came with family. "What?" Marcus asked, noticing her expression. "Nothing, this is just—" She blinked rapidly. "This is really nice." That night, after Tommy and Mia had gone to bed in the spare rooms, Marcus and Sarah sat on the couch with glasses of wine, her feet in his lap, the city lights twinkling through the windows. "I could get used to this," Sarah said quietly. "Yeah?" "Yeah. Coming home to people, to noise and mess and life. I've been so focused on survival mode for so long, making sure Tommy and Mia were okay, keeping the company running, just grinding through each day. I forgot what it felt like to actually live." Marcus set down his wine glass, taking her hand. "I know the feeling. I spent 3 years performing success instead of living it, chasing the external markers, the penthouse, the beautiful girlfriend, the Instagram life, thinking that's what accomplishment looked like. But this," he gestured around the apartment, crowded and cluttered and full. "This feels more successful than anything I built before. This feels real." "It is real." Sarah shifted closer, tucking herself against his side. "And kind of terrifying. I'm not used to relying on anyone." "You're not relying on me. We're relying on each other. That's different." "Is it?" "Yeah, because I need this too. I need you and your chaos and your family, and the way you make everything better just by being in it. You're not taking from me, Sarah. You're adding to my life. There's a difference." She tilted her head up to kiss him, gentle and sweet and full of promise. It was their first real kiss, and it felt like the most natural thing in the world, like something they'd been building toward for 6 years without realizing it. "I love you," Sarah whispered against his lips. "I think I have for a long time. I just didn't let myself admit it." "I love you too. I think I fell in love with you somewhere between the first all-nighter we pulled on the Mercer pitch and watching you bring coffee for the entire team at midnight. I just confused it for professional admiration for way too long." They sat there, wrapped in each other, as the city hummed below and her family slept safely in the next rooms.
And Marcus thought about how wrong Amanda had been. Not about him needing to see the actual person. That part was right. But about the rest of it. You could have both. The brilliant partner and the beautiful relationship. The successful career and the meaningful life. The professional respect and the personal love. You just had to find someone who valued the same things you did. Someone who showed up. Someone real.
6 months later, Tommy was fully recovered and back at UW, thriving in his computer science program. Mia had finished her first year of nursing school at the top of her class. Sarah had moved most of her belongings into Marcus's apartment, now officially their apartment. Though she kept her old place as a safety net she couldn't quite give up yet. Control issues, she'd admitted with a self-deprecating smile. "I'm aware," Marcus had said, kissing her forehead. "I love you anyway." Chen Analytics had successfully completed the Tecton implementation, exceeding every benchmark and landing 2 more major contracts as a result. Marcus had officially made Sarah a full equity partner, 50-50 ownership of the company they'd built together. "It should have been this way from the beginning," he'd said when presenting her with the paperwork. "We built this together. We should own it together." Sarah had cried, happy tears this time, and they'd celebrated by ordering pizza and working until midnight on their next big pitch. Because that's who they were. Partners who built things together, who challenged each other, who celebrated victories with work and wine and the particular satisfaction of creating something meaningful. On a Saturday morning in late October, Marcus woke to find Sarah already up, sitting at the kitchen table with her laptop and a cup of coffee, her hair messy from sleep, wearing one of his old college t-shirts that she'd claimed as her own. She was beautiful. Not Instagram beautiful, not performance beautiful, just real, messy and focused and completely herself. "Morning," he said, kissing the top of her head as he reached for the coffee pot. "Didn't we agree on no work before breakfast on weekends?" "This isn't work. This is fun." She turned the laptop to show him. "I'm looking at houses." "Houses?" "Yeah, I love this apartment, but Tommy and Mia are coming for Thanksgiving, and we barely fit all of us in here. And I was thinking—" She bit her lip, suddenly uncertain. "I was thinking, maybe it's time to look for something bigger. Together. If you want to, no pressure." I just thought, yes. Yes? Absolutely yes. Let's buy a house. Together. Something with enough room for your siblings to visit and a home office for you and maybe a yard because I've been thinking about getting a dog. A dog? Why not? We're building a life together. Lives have dogs. Marcus sat down beside her, pulling the laptop closer to look at the listings she'd been browsing. "What about this one? 4 bedrooms, home office, backyard, and it's still close to downtown." They spent the morning looking at houses online, imagining futures, planning a life that was real and messy and nothing like the performed perfection Marcus had once thought he wanted. Later that afternoon, Marcus's phone buzzed with an Instagram notification. Against his better judgment, he'd reinstalled the app temporarily to follow Chen Analytics' new company account. He clicked it. Amanda had posted a photo, her in a business suit standing in front of a Luminex communication banner at some corporate event. The caption read, "6 months at Luminex, and I finally understand what my ex meant about building something meaningful. Career update, promoted to senior brand director. Finally learning that my value isn't in what I have, but in what I create. Growth is uncomfortable, but necessary. Hashtag career woman. Hashtag personal growth.
#learning and growing, #building my own empire. Marcus showed it to Sarah, who read it and smiled. Good for her, genuinely. Yeah, I'm glad she figured it out. Are you ever sorry about how things ended with her?
Marcus thought about it honestly. I'm sorry it took so long to see clearly. I'm sorry I wasted 3 years on something that was never real. But I'm not sorry it ended. Because if it hadn't, I wouldn't have this. Us. This life we're building. He pulled Sarah close. Everything that happened led me here. So no, I'm not sorry. Good, because I'm not letting you go. Sarah kissed him, long and deep and full of promise. You're stuck with me now. You know that, right? That's the general idea. And my siblings. Love them. And my terrible cooking. We'll take lessons together. And my control issues, and my workaholic tendencies, and Sarah. Marcus cupped her face in his hands. I love you. All of you. The driven, ambitious, slightly controlling parts included. You make me better. You make everything better. Stop trying to talk me out of this. She grinned. Just making sure you know what you're signing up for. I've known what I'm signing up for since the day 6 years ago when you stayed until 2 a.m. to help me fix a critical bug in our platform, and then showed up at 7 a.m. the next morning with coffee and a completely new strategy for our investor pitch. I've just been stupid to do anything about it until now. You weren't stupid. You were learning. We both were. Sarah's expression turned serious. Marcus, I need to say something, and I need you to really hear it. I'm listening. Thank you for showing me what real partnership looks like, for showing up when Tommy was sick, for making room in your life from my chaos, for seeing me, the actual me, not just the competent COO, for being patient while I figured out if this was real, for being exactly who you are, which is someone kind and thoughtful and brilliant and genuine. You changed my life. You changed me. You changed me too. You showed me what it means to actually contribute, to actually work for something, to build something meaningful instead of just consuming and performing success. You showed me that love isn't about what someone can do for you. It's about what you can build together. They kissed again, there in the kitchen of their apartment, surrounded by the evidence of their shared life. Work documents and coffee cups and takeout menus, and all the beautiful mess of two people actually living instead of performing. 1 year later, Marcus and Sarah stood in the backyard of their new house in Wallingford, not as ostentatious as the penthouse, but spacious and warm and full of character. Tommy and Mia were there, along with the entire Chin Analytics team and their families. It was the company's 7th anniversary, and they were celebrating with a barbecue instead of a formal gala. Speech, someone called out. Marcus looked at Sarah, who nodded encouragingly. He stood up, tapping his beer bottle to get everyone's attention. 7 years ago, I started Chin Analytics with a crazy idea and a maxed-out credit card. 6 years ago, Sarah Kim joined me and turned that crazy idea into an actual business. 5 years ago, we landed our first major client. And every year since, we've grown, not just in revenue and employees, but in purpose and meaning. He paused, finding Sarah in the crowd. Someone told me once that spending money was their job, that being decorative was a contribution, and I believed that for a while because I didn't know any better. The crowd was quiet, listening. But then I learned what actual partnership looks like. I learned that real contribution isn't about consumption, it's about creation. It's about showing up, doing the work, caring about something beyond yourself.
It's about building something meaningful with someone who shares your values. Marcus raised his beer bottle. So here's to Sarah, who taught me what partnership actually means. Here's to all of you who show up every day to build something we can be proud of. And here's to 7 more years of creating something real. To creating something real, the crowd echoed, glasses raised. After the toast, Sarah pulled Marcus aside, her expression bright with barely contained excitement. I have news. Good news or bad news? Depends on your perspective. She took his hand, placing it on her stomach. We're going to need 1 more bedroom in this house. Marcus's brain short-circuited for a moment. We're pregnant. 8 weeks. I found out yesterday, but I wanted to wait until today to tell you. Our anniversary felt right.
Marcus pulled her into his arms, laughing and crying at the same time, overwhelmed with a joy so intense it was almost painful. We're having a baby! We're having a baby, Sarah confirmed, tears streaming down her own face. Is that okay? I know we hadn't exactly planned. It's perfect. You're perfect. This is perfect. Marcus kissed her, tasting salt from both their tears. We're going to need a bigger office. Sarah laughed. That's your first thought? Office space? Well, and diapers, and probably a minivan, and college savings, and... Marcus stopped, looking at her seriously. And I'm going to be there for everything. Every doctor's appointment, every midnight craving, every moment of this. You're not doing this alone. I know. That's why I'm not scared. Sarah leaned into him, and they stood there in their backyard, surrounded by friends and family, and the life they'd built together. Real and messy and absolutely perfect. I'm not scared of anything when I'm with you. From across the yard, Tommy caught Marcus's eye and gave him a thumbs up. Mia was already crying happy tears, having been told the news that morning. Derek was starting a chant about Marcus being a dad. The whole party was dissolving into happy chaos. Marcus looked around at the scene, the house they'd bought together, the company they'd built together, the family they were creating together, the friends who'd shown up to celebrate not their wealth or their success, but their actual lives, and felt a contentment so profound it was almost spiritual. This was what it meant to build something real. Not a penthouse or a performance or an Instagram feed full of carefully curated moments, but an actual life with actual people, full of actual love and actual mess and actual joy. Amanda had been right about one thing. You couldn't have both the woman who looked like her and the woman who worked like Sarah. But that was fine, more than fine, because Marcus had found something better. A woman who was brilliant and beautiful, hardworking and kind, successful and real. A woman who challenged him and supported him and loved him for who he actually was, not what he could provide. A woman who'd been there all along, building an empire beside him while he was too blind to see it. A partner, a true partner, in everything.
5 years later, Marcus and Sarah Chen stood on stage at the Seattle Convention Center, accepting the Tech Partnership of the Year award. Their daughter Emma sat in the front row with Tommy and Mia, clapping enthusiastically. Chen Analytics had grown to 300 employees, with offices in 3 cities, consistently ranked as one of the best places to work in the country. But that wasn't what Marcus was thinking about as he stood there, Sarah's hand in his. He was thinking about the small moment that morning, before the award ceremony. Emma had asked Sarah why she worked so hard, why she couldn't just stay home and play. And Sarah had knelt down, looked their daughter in the eye, and said, "Because building something meaningful is important. Because showing people, especially you, that women can be brilliant and successful and loving all at the same time is important. Because partnership means both people contribute. And because I want you to grow up knowing that your value isn't in how you look or what you spend, but in what you create, in who you help." Then Emma had asked Marcus, "And why do you work so hard, Daddy?" "Because I found someone who makes me want to build something bigger than myself. Someone who showed me that real success isn't about money or status. It's about creating something meaningful with someone you love. And I want you to know that too." Emma had nodded seriously, then asked if they could get pancakes, because she was 5, and pancakes were important too. Standing on that stage now, Marcus looked at Sarah, his partner, his best friend, his wife, the mother of his child, the person who'd shown him what real partnership looked like, and felt nothing but gratitude. Gratitude for the woman who declined his girlfriend's view of work, for the crisis that had forced him to see clearly. Gratitude for the 6 months she'd made him wait to become the person who could appreciate what they had. Gratitude for every late night, every challenge, every moment they'd built something together. "Thank you," Sarah said into the microphone, her voice clear and strong. "For this recognition, but more importantly, thank you to everyone who shows up every day to build something meaningful, who contributes, who works not just for a paycheck, but for purpose, who understands that real partnership, in business, in life, in everything, means both people giving their best, supporting each other, and building something bigger than themselves." She looked at Marcus, smiling. "That's what we've tried to do. That's what we'll keep doing. Together." The applause surged, and Marcus thought about Amanda's last words to him years ago. Love the person, not the partnership. She'd been wrong about that too. Because sometimes when you found the right person, the partnership and the person were inseparable. Sometimes loving someone meant loving what you built together, not because of what it provided, but because it was a testament to your shared values, your mutual respect, your combined vision. Sometimes the best relationships were the ones where both people showed up, contributed, and built something meaningful. Not because they had to, but because they wanted to.
Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the story and want me to keep posting better contents. Thank you.